I'm Dow Bartling, and welcome to another episode of Dow's Weekly Digest. I've been thinking about change lately. Not the kind of change you find when you look between the cushions of your couch. No. Though Lord knows that's getting harder to find all the time. What I'm speaking of is the kind of change where one day something is just there and then the next day it isn't. I guess there's a new app out there that apparently helps you organize your refrigerator. Yep. I didn't know my refrigerator needed organizing. It's a refrigerator. You put things in it, you take things out. In between, it keeps it cold. That's a fine system. But here's what I want to talk about today. There's a book. You may know it. A little book. Kind of yellow. And it's got a picture of Ben Franklin on here. It's been around for over 234 years. It was there before the Civil War, before electricity, before the telephone, before the internet, which, by the way, has not made us smarter, just faster at being wrong. It's called the Old Farmer's Almanac. And folks, this is the last year for it. 234 some years of planting dates, weather predictions, moon phases, the tide tables, home remedies, and recipes for things like Aunt Edna's bread pudding. They're gone just like that. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, but Dow, I can get that on my phone. Well, for sure you can. You can also eat a protein bar instead of a Thanksgiving dinner. Technically, they're both food, but that's not really the point, is it? The almanac wasn't just information. It was a conversation between people who work the land and the rhythms of the world they worked in. It said, the frost is coming. Plant your seeds now. The fish will be running this week. Expect rain. It was knowledge passed down not as data, but as wisdom. Wrapped in paper, printed in ink, and held in your hands. My grandfather had one on the kitchen table. My father had one on his. And now there'll be nothing on the table but a tablet with a cracked screen and a charger that only works when you hold it just exactly at the right angle. Now, I've been doing this long enough to know that change isn't always bad. Some things should go. Leaded gasoline. Haircuts from the 1970s. Don't get me started on that. But the almanac, that one hurts a little. And if you'll indulge an old man for just a moment, I think it leaves us with a lesson worth keeping around, even if the book itself isn't. But first, let me share a little story, like other stories in here. This story is entitled Sowing Patriotism. It's about a flag maker. Her name is Mary Pickersgill. And she was stitching her way into history. You see, Mary was commissioned by the government to make a flag. There was a particular general, Major George Amerstead. So Major George Amerstead, he was the commander of Fort McHenry, and he commissioned Mary to make a flag. But this wasn't going to be just any flag. You see, Mary was well known as a flag maker. Her mother studied under Betsy Ross, another flag maker. But Mary was commissioned by Major Armstead to make a huge flag. You see, he wanted this flag to be 30 foot by 42. 30 by 42. The stripes themselves were 15 foot long. The stars were over 2 feet from point to point. That major, he wanted that flag to be seen from afar. That the enemies at that point, the British, could see it from afar. And so Mary and her relatives made that flag. And from that, it goes then to history. You see, there was a gentleman who saw that during the war and saw that flag over Fort McHenry. That person's name was Francis Scott Key, and he made a poem. Maybe you know the poem. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. That poem later became what we know as a Star-Spangled Banner. Man, isn't that a story? Right here in the Old Farmer's Almanac. If you can indulge this old man just a little bit, I would like to share with you a lesson from this book, even though it's not going to be around. The lesson goes like this. Pay attention to the slow things. The almanac was never in a hurry. It told you about the year ahead by first understanding the years behind it. It knew the weather doesn't reinvent itself, that seasons follow certain patterns, that the land has a memory even when we forget. We live in a world now where it seems to reward how fast everything is. Whoever's the fastest, who tweets first, who posts first, who reacts first. The almanac never rewarded speed. It rewarded patience, the kind that watches the sky for a week before deciding whether to plant. You know, we'd all be a little better off with more of that. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to miss the little yellow book. Not because I farmed. I never farmed a day in my life. I once killed a houseplant 3 days after I bought it. And I felt terrible about the whole thing. But I'll miss it because it meant somewhere somebody still believed that the moon matters, that the seasons mattered, that you matter. Enough to print a book once a year and hand it to you. Give you the opportunity. Here's what's coming. Here's how to be ready. You know what? That's not a bad thing to say to a person. That's not bad at all. And I do know this. And blessed are they who ease the pain of misfortune, for they shall be called insurance agents. You take care.